Get the Million is a Jonouchi chapter, but honestly, as a Jonouchi chapter, I think it's one of the weakest. That's not to say that it's bad. I have really strong memories of this one from the first couple of times that I read through the series, but rereading it, it's not really all that strong. Jonouchi has a chance to be on a game show where you get to win 1,000,000 yen, which is about $10,000, which obviously isn't $1 million, and even $1 million isn't really that big a deal anymore. But still, $10,000 is a lot, 1,000,000 yen is a lot. It would be enough to pay off Jonouchi's father's gambling debts, which are a major problem for the family, and have enough left over to finance Jonouchi's education. He's been having to work to afford to go to school. If he wins on this game show, he'll have enough money that he won't have to do that anymore. But a brief cutaway to the producer of this show and the head of the studio tells us that this guy just likes taking advantage of poor people for entertainment, and that the game is rigged. Which I think should have been saved for later, since it's revealed again later anyway, but whatever. It builds dramatic irony, and I guess that's fine. So Jonouchi gets on this show. All of his friends go with him, though his dad doesn't go, and none of his friends' parents go, which I thought was kind of weird, but whatever. And he plays a few different games, and he wins some of the money after each game. The first is a dart game, which he just barely wins, despite the fact that it's the one that he is most likely to win. The second game is a sort of electrified maze that he has to get through, and they say that if he fails and touches the sides of the maze, he'll be met with a devastating shock. But I imagine that they're greatly exaggerating, since even in this world, you can't electrocute someone on television. And then the third game is a prize wheel, where he has a very small chance of winning any money. And if he doesn't win any money, he has to give back all the money he's won up to this point. But then Yugi, who is off on a bathroom break, overhears the head of the studio as he's walking through the back corridors, talking about how the wheel is rigged. And in fact, the head of the studio pushes the button himself. He goes off to this hidden away, sequestered off secret area and pushes the button himself, which makes it clear that this isn't just a profit thing. He's not just taking advantage of people to improve the ratings of his show and make more money. He gets some sort of sick personal satisfaction out of ruining people's lives, or at the very least contributing to the ruination of people's lives. And so this is enough to bring the other Yugi out, and he goes and confronts this guy here. They play a game that ends with the entire control board being splashed with red paint, so now the guy can't tell which button is which. And essentially the other Yugi just gives Jonouchi a chance to play the game fairly. He doesn't take things down the other extreme and rig things so that Jonouchi wins. He just gives Jonouchi a chance to win. And also imposes a penalty game on the head of the studio, which causes him to reveal that he really just does like bleeding money from poor people. Jonouchi, despite how seemingly impossible it is to do so, actually manages to win the game, but unfortunately, and this is the main reason I don't like this chapter very much, what the other Yugi did to the head of the studio causes such bad press that they end up going bankrupt. So Jonouchi's check for 1,000,000 yen is now worthless. And I hate this because it's not as if they were making him rich, they were just helping him stabilize his life, which they could have done to establish a new status quo for the character. But instead they play it for laughs, and I think that's just really cruel, honestly. But it's not as if the other Yugi knew that that was going to happen, so I don't blame him or anything. And I guess it is a realistic ending. At the end of the day, though, this wasn't a particularly good chapter. It had some memorable sequences and moments in it, but it wasn't great and felt kind of fillery like the last one did. And so honestly, in terms of these reviews, I'm just pretty happy to have gotten it out of the way. All of that said, though, guys, I'd like to know, what did you think of this chapter of Yu-Gi-Oh! If you have read it. Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord, link in the description. But either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.